It's time to start planning your culminating activity for the course. That activity being the thematic resource units that you're going to put together and then share with us for our final in-class meeting day, which will be week 14. The big picture of this is that you're going to be working with two core content areas, those being science, math, social studies, and language arts, reading, which you could kind of put those together if you wanted to. So you're going to pick two of those core content areas, and you're going to connect some relevant books to those, some kind of children's and or young adult literature, and you're going to create or locate some activities that go along with those and will also meet the Oklahoma academic standards that you select. It's going to be a little bit in pieces in that you're going to have an annotated bibliography with it, and you will post that before you give your presentation. But then you'll also have a reflection that you'll do following the presentation, so that you'll have 2 additional days to do following your presentation. For this project, you're welcome to work with one partner if you choose to. Obviously, you don't have to. If you do choose to work with a partner, both of you will need to submit reflections because the reflections are individual. Everything else can be done together. The reflections are personal, so again, those must be done individually. Let's walk through a bit and see what it is you're going to be putting together. So you're going to select that grade level between grades kindergarten and 8th grade, and you're going to select a relevant theme that is appropriate for the grade level and will also be something fun and interesting for you to do. For example, maybe you want to teach the 3rd grade social studies later on, and 3rd grade social studies standards relate to the state of Oklahoma. So if you wanted to do that, you could do something with social studies and weather, for example, and that would give you social studies and science to look at. So just an example. And then you're going to create an organized plan. Figure out how you're going to display it so that we're able to see everything and get the information that we need out of it with limited discussion on your part. You want to create it so that we're able to look at it and see everything we need, know what the activities are, what the literature is, and how it all fits together. Then you're going to be selecting your 12 pieces of literature, your your 12 pieces of literature that relate to your book. The literature can be poetry, it can be trade books, it can be magazine articles, it can be fiction, nonfiction, any genres that you want it to be. In fact, I hope you will mix up the genres and include a little bit of fiction in there with some nonfiction. Now, this is an area where Miss Sarah in the library will be so very, very helpful. This and the diversity project are her very favorite projects, and she loves working with students on these. So I suggest that you contact her soon so that you can begin putting your ideas together. Also, let me know if I may have some books in the classroom that can help you. Now, once you get that down, you're going to get down to some of the nitty gritty. You're going to determine what those 2 core content areas are. Let's say that you decide that you want to use social studies and math. And for those, you're going to come up with 4 activities for social studies and 4 activities for math. Now, what if the activity covers both content areas? That's great. You can count that as one of the overall 8 activities that you do, but it doesn't count for 1 activity for social studies and 1 activity for math, if that makes sense. You want to get your students interacting somehow. Don't just hand out a worksheet and say, let's color the worksheet and use blue to color the snow and use whatever. Really get the students engaged in what it is they're learning through these activities. You can think about using activities as you might use in a center or in a station, or what you might use with the whole class. And in a little bit, I will show you an example of what some of these can look like as you begin putting them together. Keep in mind that you must have the 4 activities for each of those 2 core content areas. However, if you decide that you really want to tie in music, or you really want to tie in health or movement, you can certainly do that. Now, those will not replace the 2 core content areas, but these would be additional. So you're welcome to have 10 or 11 or 12 activities if you want to do that. And I encourage you to do that, as I'm hoping that you're creating something that you will want to be able to use in your own classes later on. Now, how are you going to display this? Traditionally, students would use trifold boards. When COVID came, we had to move everything online, and so students then began doing more digital demonstrations. Since we will be meeting in person, you have the option of doing those however you would like to. But a couple things to keep in mind: if you work with a partner and you do create a trifold board and you decorate it and make it look wonderful, only one of you gets to keep it. That can be a little bit of an issue. So just keep that in mind as you are thinking about how you're going to present it. Also, if you choose to do a digital copy, a digital presentation, you will have to bring the device to show it on, as will be spread out all around the classroom. And there are very, very limited outlets in the classroom, so don't expect that you would be able to charge your device. So a couple things to think about for that day. On the discussion board, you're going to post your presentation there, and you'll also post your annotated bibliography prior to doing your presentation. And I hope that you will put in the subject line what your grade level is and what your theme is. And the reason that we post these there are that after you see everyone's in the class, and maybe there are a few that you would like to keep and have copies of their annotated bibliographies and the activities that they've used, those will be available for you to do so. That's why we post things there. So let's start looking now at the score sheet here. Notice the first item. Well, actually, when we meet in class that day, I will give you a hard copy of this. I'll give you one of these per presentation. So if you work with a partner, you will have one of these, and you'll put your name or names up here, your thematic topic, and then after you've done your presentation, you'll tell us over here what your core content areas are, and then you'll give us a statement of how you feel like your presentation went. And it's an informal presentation, but you can write some notes down below here, and one or both of you could write those. Hopefully you would work together on that if you work with a partner. And again, remember, this one-page reflection is individual. You do not turn in the same reflection, because we each have different thought processes. We all have different thought processes. Right. So when you make sure that you have your topic, your theme, and your grade level clearly identified. Students often forget to do this, and they'll go through and tell us all about their projects, and we won't really know what grade level they're talking about. And so that can be kind of confusing. Make sure you've got your 2 core content areas. And then if you want to add others, you're welcome to do that. Do you have all 4 of your relevant activities? These are 5 points each. 8 times 5 is 40. Did you link each one of these to an Oklahoma academic standard? Now, this does not mean that you have to have a different standard for each activity. If you're using science and social studies, you may have 1 science standard and 3 social studies standards, and that's fine. What you're going to do, though, is make sure that each of your activities is linked to one of those, and you're going to make that very clear in how you put your presentation together. Did you bring 4 or more of these books? Not a deal breaker if you can't find them all. It's just 12 points. So that wouldn't even lower you by a grade level if you chose not to do that, but I do hope you'll bring those books. Did you get your annotated bibliography posted? And remember that an annotation is just a summary, but in that summary, it should relate to the theme. You should use words within this description that show us how your book is tied in. And remember, it should be in your own words, not something that you get off of Amazon or Goodreads or Scholastic. Did your display turn out nice, well organized? Was it easy to follow, or did we have to kind of look around and see, wait, what? Where was that academic standard that went with these? And then this you are going to provide information on, and then you've got 48 hours to provide the reflection, and this you will submit under assignments, not on the discussion board. Let me show you just an example now of what a digital one can look like. This student used social studies and language arts, and we can see here is a description of the activity. Notice that this is a description of the activity. It doesn't mean write a sentence telling us what the activity is. It's an actual description. Here's a picture of what it might look like, and here's the standard that it links to, the language arts standard. So here's another one with a good description of the activity, and this one is connected to 2 language arts standards. Here is another one connected to 2 social studies standards. And then the bibliography, we can see that the student wrote the annotations here. Now, I would say provide a little more information about your book itself. That would be helpful, but at least provide us with the title and the author at the very, very minimum. All right, I hope you are feeling pretty well prepared for this, and that you're ready to start thinking about an exciting theme and grade level that you'd like to do it with. So don't hesitate to let me know if there's something that I can help you with. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with.